All right, here we go again. Another night. What is this? Night 6? 6 straight nights? I think that's about what it is. We've got some folks coming in. We got Instagram going live. We've got, let's see, outside of Instagram, we got YouTube, we got Facebook. Good stuff. Oh, so yesterday we went through the tax journey. We got Post Pro Shedzilla. I love it. What's up, Luke? How you been, bud? We got Tom hopping in. We got Dex. What's up, everyone? What's up, Dex? All right. So as the audience builds up, I got something cool I thought I would do tonight. I know yesterday we talked tax strategies. I went through my whole tax nightmare and showed you how I'm unnightmaring the nightmare, which is still kind of a nightmare, right? Like how many of you joined us? How many of you joined us last night? And still, after I got done talking about all the things you can do to mitigate taxes, you were like, that's still a nightmare. A lot of work, a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of time and energy. But you know what? Hopefully every single one of you has to learn that, because that means you're all making a lot of money, and that means you're all having to pay a lot of taxes. And that's the beauty of it is, you know, when you make money, more, what was it? More money, more problems. More money, more problems. And isn't that the truth? But we just skip more money, more problems. But tonight, I thought I would do something different. And I didn't tell Shauna what I was going to do. I usually bring Shauna up to speed and let her know, kind of what I'm doing. But I've got this new thing that me and Hannah have been working on. And I thought I would kind of talk about it tonight. And it's been a goal of mine for a long time. And for those of you that are just joining or just hopping on, and maybe you don't know much about me, I just, oh, look at this. We got a bunch of people coming on Instagram. What's up, Instagram? We just started streaming, so I got to kind of hop back and forth between StreamYard and Instagram just to say hello to everybody. But I'll keep popping back over there. What's up, Nick? Yeah, taxes equal tariffs. Taxes equal tariffs. Not sure I'm quite connecting the taxes and the tariffs. Tariffs equal taxes, taxes equal tariffs. Yeah, well, you've all seen what taxes did. 2 days of, what did today finish down? Was it like 400s? It was all over the place. The market was literally a ping pong game. But you know what? How long, I mean, Dex, seriously, how long have I been telling everybody that we're going to be in a recession? How long have I been warning people to get their finances in order? How long have I been warning people to take their gains off the table, take their profits off the table, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. Don't buy high, sell low, and lose money. Been kind of, I like that. Okay. So tariffs reduce taxes. Yeah, tariffs basically, yes, it's inflationary, which we know. Yes, the markets aren't going to like it. Yes, it's going to make goods more expensive in the short term. In the long term, it'll stabilize things. But tariffs are not, just so you all know, I've been seeing it. It's all over the news. I mean, every media station that you watch, every news station you watch, it just depends. Do they hate Trump or do they not hate Trump? It's all it really is. But what you have to understand is tariffs have been used for a very long time, and they've been used for the most part. And notice how I'm not saying always. For the most part, they've been used successfully. But tariffs have to be used as a short-term plan. Now, they can be long-term in some situations. Like China, I think, could be more of a long-term kind of situation, because China is not our friend. But like Canada and Mexico, I really feel like that's more of a bargaining chip. And there was some stuff said at the end of the day today where I didn't really catch it. I just glanced at it. But, we'll see if Trump holds those tariffs, because I know Trudeau, and isn't it funny? Trudeau kind of got ousted from his position, but yet there's no one to step in and take his position because nobody's been voted in yet. And now he's the big guy and mouthing off to Trump. Like, Trudeau's just a little bitch. No disrespect if any of you are Canadian, but Trudeau, like, he's just a little bitch. And there isn't anybody that can disagree with that. But the taxes we pay, like let's call it income taxes, right? We didn't have income taxes before 1913 when the Fed and the tax code was put into force. It's funny how in 1913, not only did we get this shitty thing called the Federal Reserve System, which if you read The Secrets of the Federal Reserve, you'll learn how that shit was just shoved down the American public, their throat. The Federal Reserve was literally just this political game. And anyway, I'm not going to go into it, but like we get the Fed and then we get the tax, we get the IRS, we get the tax code, and we get income taxes. We never had it before that. We did just fine. Well, I wouldn't say just fine, but we did okay without income taxes. Now, well, we got income taxes, and now we're trying to find new ways to create revenue for the U.S., bring jobs back to the U.S., bring industry back to the U.S., which, listen, the threat of tariffs absolutely worked. Look at all the foreigners and all the foreign industries that are investing in infrastructure in the U.S. It's billions of dollars. But then you got this Canada-Mexico thing, which I'm not going to pretend like I fully understand the Canada-Mexico 25% tariffs, because for the most part, like I did a YouTube video, and we're going to get to the stuff with the book, but you sent me down a rabbit hole here with this. But let's think about Canada. What do we import from Canada? There is a big trade imbalance between the US and Canada. Like we import a lot more from Canada than we export to Canada. So I think that's a lot of what these tariffs are, is to kind of close that gap, right? Like try to get it a little bit more. Like if we're importing goods, like let's try to export as much. That's good for industry. But more specifically, what tariffs are going to do is bring industry back to the US, because they'll make it so it's more effective and more cost effective to create and produce goods in the US. Japan, okay, for example, used to make a lot of cars, ship them over here to the US. We put tariffs on those cars, and then what did Japan do? Built factories here, creating lots of jobs, lots of money, better economy. And you get the whole point. But tariffs, certainly, if used properly, and I don't know as if Trump's using them properly. I'm not saying he is or he isn't. It's still questionable. But nonetheless, tariffs can create revenue for this country that otherwise would have been created through taxes, income taxes. So anyway, you sent me down a rabbit hole, Nick, but it's okay. I've been studying tariffs, for, well, I don't know, as long as we've been hearing about what he was planning on doing with it. And I kind of have gone down a lot of rabbit holes learning about tariffs. So I'm not going to say I can run with the best of them. I'm not going to say I fully understand why Mexico and Canada were so heavily, in the mix of tariffs. I know it's the trade imbalance. I know there are neighboring countries, and we do a lot of trade with them. The fentanyl thing, yeah, fentanyl's a major issue, but is that really why the tariffs are being put in place? I question that, but again, I don't understand that, and anyway, let's see what Nick said. Nick said, a lot coming to the USA. Centers are going to be huge in several ways, need a lot of natural gas for those, and Apple. Did you see Apple is going to build a facility here in the U.S. to make Apple products? You don't say. You're going to see a lot of that. But the problem is, and you're all going to see this, you're actually seeing it already, we're going to have to go through some pain to get to the other side, like what Nick's talking about. These companies will invest in the U.S. These companies will build huge factories here. Foreign industry from Mexico to Canada to China will build infrastructure here. They won't have a choice. They need to be competitive. And this is the one thing, and I think this is the thing Trump knows, the U.S. is it's a major superpower. Like we import more from if we just cut countries off, like they probably wouldn't survive. Like China's economy is not doing so good right now, folks. It's not. Contrary to what you may read or see, China, you don't even know what's going on over there, but there's some things that are really rough over there in China. They're not doing as well as you think. Matter of fact, some reports I've read said China's doing really freaking bad. So they need our money. They need us to buy their goods and services. So they will, I don't mean to say comply. I hate that word, but they will comply. They will find a way to do business here in the US, or they will die, especially Canada. Like I said, Trudeau's a little bitch, but like Canada really, I don't think has a leg to stand on without the US. Now, I could be wrong, and no disrespect to any of the Canadians. Listen, I'm almost Canadian. I'm in Buffalo, New York. I can literally go for a jog and be in Canada by the afternoon. Like, no joke. Like, it's a 15-minute drive for me to get over the border, eh? So I can even roll with the Canadians, but we're pretty freaking close. But they can't make it for the most part without us, without our goods and services and our business. But hey, if Trudeau thinks they can and Trudeau wants to play this trade war game, I can't imagine how they're going to win that one. Mexico, no, the same thing. Let's see. I'm just reading some of these. Why would Canada, which has, I almost lost it. Why would Canada, which has the same population as California, take more goods to close the gap? They don't need as much stuff. You're right. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe they won't, but what might happen is those manufacturers. So what do we import from Canada? We've imported a lot of lumber, but the number one thing we import from Canada are auto parts. Look it up. I just did a YouTube video on it, so I already did all the research for it. Auto parts. So do you think if there's a 25% tariff on auto parts, do you think those companies that make those auto parts are going to continue to do that? They're going to be able to be competitive. They're going to be able to compete in the market with a 25% tariff. Are our companies over here in the U.S. going to buy goods with a 25% tariff? Hell no, they're gonna manufacture it here, because now all of a sudden you just leveled the playing field. So I totally agree with you, TIAB0624. Like, you won't close that gap. You could with China, but you won't close that gap with Canada. They just don't have enough people. They don't need the goods. But what you can do is force that manufacturing back to the U.S. Now, will that be bad for Canada? Probably. I mean, I don't know. I would have to believe it's not going to be good for Canada. But get Trudeau out of there. Get somebody in there that actually knows how to run the country instead of being just a little, I don't even know what to call Trudeau. But get somebody who knows how to run that country, and I think we'll be a lot better off there. The SE is booming. Check out the SAV-GA area. I got to put my glasses on for some of these. Late at night, looking at a computer screen most of the day. Hyundai car, meta plant, trucking, real estate, Amazon warehouses. Yeah, it's Canadian bacon. Yeah, well, Luke, you got a good point, buddy, because, if you love Canadian bacon, I don't think you can make Canadian bacon here in the U.S. in that maple syrup. Dude, you cannot duplicate that maple syrup. So you know what Trump should do, and somebody should let him know, like, skip the maple syrup, man. Don't put the tariff on the maple syrup. We like that stuff here. We don't want to pay 25% more. Canada can keep the Speedos. Good point. Savannah, Georgia, I got what you were saying. All right, let's come over here and see what Instagram is saying here. We're just having some fun here. What's Instagram saying? Instagram is not saying anything. Weird. Let's see. Yeah, no one's saying anything over here on Instagram. I thought for sure I would have rubbed somebody wrong, because that's what we normally do on WTF. Any of you join us for WTF? It's every Wednesday morning at 9:30 Eastern, and we just go off. We literally just rant and rave and have fun. And I will definitely tell you tomorrow we're going to be talking about Canada and Mexico and the little bitch. But nonetheless, like, that's what we're going to be talking about. But tonight, I want to switch this up. And we're going to talk about kids. We're going to talk about our kids. Okay, Vivi might join us. I took Larissa and Vivi out for dinner tonight. We never go out to dinner. We just never do. I'm usually working late. I come home, they've already eaten, but tonight, she got done with ballet and got an opportunity to take them out to dinner, and it was really, really nice. I very much enjoyed it, but she might be a little tired. She fell asleep on the drive home. The drive home's like 5 minutes. But so I want to talk about kids. Listen, I'm 47. And growing up, like, I really wasn't, outside of my mom teaching me how to save, and if you don't know that story, I'm not going to go into it now, but the story about the jar and how my mom would, save the change. But you can watch my TEDx talk, which kind of goes into that. And, but we have a chance to really change things. Like, listen, like, we started off talking about Trump and tariffs, and, we all know Trump's trying to get rid of taxes, and trying to reduce taxes or do a bunch of stuff, to help us, keep more money. I shouldn't say make more, but, bringing industry back to the U.S. will help all of us make more money, but also trying to help us keep more money and reduce taxes, or just hell, get rid of the taxes. But in doing so, we never really were taught how money works, were we? I don't care who's on here. I don't care how old you are, Tess or Shane, Shauna, Dex, Derek. Like, we we weren't really taught the truth about money. We were taught what our parents were taught, what their grandparents were taught, which is basically just to do what you're told, comply, do as you're told, put money in a 401k, save until you retire. When you retire, just do what you got to do. And how'd that work out for everybody? Well, I can tell you by the statistics, it didn't. Even Social Security will tell you that. Social Security says that out of 100 people, only 5 will be financially secure. Only 1 will be wealthy. So you mean to tell me that for all these centuries, like they had it right? They had money right? Wrong. They had it completely freaking wrong. So I spend time trying to teach my daughter about money, try to teach her the importance of it, trying to teach her how to give. We really, to be honest, my daughter's 4.5, and we spend a lot of time teaching my daughter about giving. And we give a lot of money to animal shelters. We help a lot of people out. We give money to her school, and we show her that the hard work that I do and, the money we make, we give. And that's an important aspect. But we also teach her how to be a good steward of money. We teach her, like I do it with Paw Patrol, because she loves Paw Patrol, and different Paw Patrol characters from Chase to Marshall, like they love to, buy things from one another, at least in Vivi's world. So Chase will sell one of his trucks to Marshall or to somebody else. Sky has been the biggest buyer lately. Sky, the little girl who flies the helicopter. So Sky, for some reason, has been buying Chase's trucks. But I always let Vivi know that, like, Sky has to exchange money to buy Chase's cars. Now, Chase is a nice guy, and he's being his own bank. So what Chase is doing is allowing Sky to buy the car, but Chase is lending the money to Sky. And Sky is just giving Chase a little bit of money, and it comes right out of we got a little cash register. Chase is getting a little bit of money from Sky every single month for that car that Chase financed for Sky. Sky's the buyer. Chase is the seller, but Chase is the bank, and Chase lent the money. So these are just little things I do with my daughter, but I took this to a whole new level. So let me just kind of talk a little bit about that. I wrote a letter. My daughter was very young. I wrote a letter to my daughter teaching. So the impact of this letter was, someday when my daughter's older, she's going to read this letter and it's going to mean something. And it became my TEDx talk, and I delivered that TEDx talk. And then now I've been writing a book. It's been going on for a year now. I don't know what the book's going to be called. It was going to be called The Leap, or I got a couple of different names, but you'll see it. It'll come out inside the next year. It's almost done. We just got to fine tune it. So it's a book for my daughter from me. It's written in third person. It's about a dad who tells his daughter bedtime stories, all in third person. And the daughter, it forward paces through the daughter's life. And as she gets older, it talks about different struggles that she's having. And the dad always tells her a story, a third person story about some fictitious person. And as the daughter's getting older and older, mom's in the story as well, the daughter starts to kind of piece together some of these stories. And, based on what her mom's told her and what her dad's told her in these bedtime stories, she starts to, think these stories sound very familiar to my dad. So these stories are very much like the stories I've heard of my father. And at the end of the book, the dad, gets sick and basically leaves her a thing up in the attic. And I don't want to give the book away, but leaves her, this letter up in the attic. And nonetheless, dad dies. She gets the letter, goes up, and realizes that every one of these stories that her dad was telling were stories of the dad's failures, and how the dad overcame failures and the things he learned. So nonetheless, it's literally, that book is a story of my journey, my failures, all the things I've gone through. And I am the dad in the book. It's just told in the third person. And I'm reading these stories to my daughter, talking to her when I'm driving her to school, telling her stories, trying to help her through these times. But every one of these lessons are lessons that teach her how to survive and how to do better and how to be better. And yes, of course, in the book, to make it dramatic, I got to kill myself. So I do. My mom read it and bawled her eyes out and called me up. But anyway, that book will be coming out. But here's what I wanted to do tonight. I thought this would be fun, and I got a bunch of you on here. Is myself and Hannah Kessler got this idea. It was actually Hannah's idea, believe it or not, of writing an actual children's book. Now, how many of you read The Giving Tree when you were a child? or The Missing Piece or The Big O or any of Shel Silverstein's books? Did any of you read that? Put I in the chat. They're phenomenal books, but like let's talk about The Giving Tree. How impactful is that book? Now, I remember as a young child, my mom reading me that book. I remember that vividly, and I always wanted her to read it over and over. And then when I got older, I still had the book, and yes, Tess read every single one of them. Shane read them. Lisa. So I remember, like, when I had Vivi, I got that book. I found it. My mom gave it to me, and I read it, and I bawled my eyes out because I got the meaning of the book. You see, when I was a child and my mom was reading it, it was a story about a little boy and the apples and the apple tree. And, the boy just kept taking from the tree until the tree had nothing left to give. But at that point, the boy didn't need anything because the boy was old and they had each other. So interesting book, but there's so many lessons in that book. And I've always been fascinated by it. So when my daughter was old enough, well, not old enough, but when my daughter started, wanting me to read her books and stories, I started reading her those books. And I read them over and over. And my daughter would sing the songs in the book. Like, you ever notice, like, Shel in all of his stories, especially The Missing Piece, it's stories. Like, I fleece my knees and grease my bees. Right, baby? Fleece my knees and grease my bees. Looking for my missing piece. Remember that? What do you got? Is this mine? Holy cow. Vivi just brought me raspberries and whipped cream. Where's yours, Viv? You don't have one. Wow. Well, that was so nice. You see that? I thought she was coming down here just to join, but she actually brought me raspberries and whipped cream. What a treat. But the show must go on. So when we wrote this book, okay, here's the manuscript. This book's going to publication this week. So it is done. We are taking pre-orders, but there's no pre-order site. So if any of you are interested, I'm going to put this in the chat, but I'm going to read you this book. I'm going to read you the children. It's just a children's book, so it's not long. But if any of you are interested, all you would do is you'd go to themoneymultiplier.com/the companion. And you can kind of put that in there. Now, some of you have been to one of my events where I read the TEDx talk. I couldn't keep it together. I bawled my eyes out doing it, but some of you, it was a very special moment for me. But this isn't the final one, but the graphics are epic. We hired our friend Sam to do all the graphics in the book. So in this book, the companion, I'll just kind of show you, these are not the final graphics. They're way more vivid in terms of colors, but you can see it's all watercolor and hand drawn. So all the pictures are hand drawn in this. But the book is about this little guy whose name is the companion and this little girl whose name is Girl. They don't have names. They don't need names. It's the companion and the girl. So I'm going to read this, and I want all of you to just take from this whatever you take from it. We wrote this with a premise of money. Okay, so it had a premise of teaching kids about money, but it's taken a whole new life. It is so much more than money. And I'll let all of you do that. So I'm gonna go into it. The graphics, I'm not gonna get really into it, but they're just beautiful. The book came out better than anything I could have ever dreamed of. So here we go, page 1. Once in a faraway kingdom, there lived a child who had a companion of her very own. Together, their days were filled with happiness. The child cared for her companion, and in return, the companion kept close watch over the child. They learned from each other, growing more familiar every day. And does anyone think that looks a little bit like Vivi, the little girl? Anyway, let's keep going. All right. The child understood that her companion needed food and care so it could grow strong, and its strength meant safety and protection. With each passing day, they depended on one another a little more. They played in the fields, dreaming of places they'd go and the many adventures they'd someday share. As they walked, the companions sang a tune that floated through the air. Here we go, we're on our way, hand in hand we'll laugh and play. The best of friends we walk along, step by step, we sing our song. So then there's the graphic on that one. He's a cute little bugger. The child had heard tales of people and their companions of friends that grew strong together and had grand adventures. Her companion listened carefully, eager to grow strong for her. The story spoke of friendship and bravery, of facing monsters and meeting every challenge together. Each one lit a spark of happiness in her little companion's heart. With every stride, the world's our stage, writing our story page by page, hand in hand through the sun and rain. Together, we're stronger than anyone. The child loved to share her dreams and plans of places that they'd see and things they'd do. The companion listened, waiting patiently for their adventure to begin. Off we go to chase our dreams, laughing and bursting at the seams. We skip and jump, we're running free. It's a beautiful world, just you and me. One day, the child asked her companion eagerly, "Should we begin our adventures now? Won't you join me?" Her eyes gleamed wide with excitement, but her companion replied soothingly, "Not yet. I have not grown strong enough to keep you safe." The child understood and nodded, recalling the stories she knew so well. All the great companions had needed patience, care, and time. And in the end, they grew strong enough to face any adventure so their people would never be afraid. Soon after, the child asked again, "Are we ready to begin our journey yet? Hasn't it been long enough?" "I'm sorry," the companion replied sadly, "but I still need time to grow." The child slowly smiled and nodded, her mind already filled with dreams of the journey ahead, and agreed to wait a little bit longer. But deep inside, the child wished her adventure could start now. So you can see the little companion and the little girl's very sad because she wants to go on the adventure. I wish I had another one. We have the finals. I just didn't print them out. All right. "Please, may we go on an adventure?" the child begged. "I know you may not be ready, but can I get started now?" Her companion thought for a moment, then replied, "There is a way. You can borrow from me now, but be sure to return what you took when you come home. That way I can keep growing and we can share many more adventures." Key word in that. You can borrow. Start putting that together. So the child took from her companion and set off on a grand adventure. The companion stayed behind, waiting patiently through, though it could not feed itself until she returned. "I wait alone while you roam free, on a path that was meant for you and me. My strength fades with each passing day, yet still I hope you find your way." "Thank you so much," the child said. When she came home, her face bright with excitement. It was wonderful to meet new people and explore new places in the wild world. Her companion, though hungry, smiled and was pleased to see the child so happy. As the days passed, the child had more adventures and grew bolder, and each time she borrowed more from her companion. The companion waited alone, each time growing thinner and weaker, yet it was already ready to give whatever the child needed. It was always ready to give what the child needed. One chilly evening, the child returned, shivering from her latest journey. "It's gotten so cold out there. Could you help me stay warm?" Now, I want you to look. The companion has a bunch of little things taken out because she keeps borrowing from it, but anyway, the real pictures are better. Her companion, though weary, smiled kindly. "Take what you need to keep warm, dear child, but please return it as soon as you can." So the child took from her companion again and was able to stay cozy and warm through the winter. As the spring arrived, she thanked her companion, saying, "I am so grateful for your help, but I need to keep warm a bit longer." Her companion loved the child dearly and gladly agreed. But as the weather changed and the child grew restless for yet another journey, she completely forgot to give anything back to her companion. Hand in hand, our steps may slow through fields that once were green and gold. The road is rough, the skies are gray. We're bravely walking, come what may. As time went on, the dark clouds rolled across the sky, and the child, frightened, pleaded with her companion, "Oh, please Please, can you shelter me from the storm? Her companion gave all that it could to keep the child safe and dry, but it was only just enough. Through summer's heat and winter's rain, I give all I can spare you pain. I give all I can to spare you pain. For all I have, I'll gladly share. To keep you safe, to show I care. I'm butchering some of these. As the storm cleared, the child saw other people passing with their companions, each of them ready to face new challenges and seize new adventures. They looked so strong, the child shouted in wonder. Come, let's join them. But her companion, now frail, smiled sadly. Perhaps next year we will be ready, said the child. But she was not quite so sure as she tried to sound. This one's kind of a cool graphic. You can see with the dragon in the background. Let's see. Wow, it's hard to read. Then one day a dragon appeared, demanding tribute throughout the kingdom. The child begged her companion, "Can you help me? I have nothing to give." Her companion, with a brave and weary smile, replied, You may give what I have, though I will have nothing more to offer." The child gave the dragon all that remained of her companion's strength. As the dragon departed, the child was saved, but her companion was now too weak to even stand. There's some of the graphics you can kind of see. The actual finished graphics are way better. Our hearts are close, though strength may fade. I stay beside you unafraid. For every dream you still pursue, I'll give my all to help you through. The child wept quietly. If another dragon were to come now, he would take everything. Yes, said her companion, I can no longer save you from the dragon. If we have another storm, said the child, I might wash away all we have. Yes, said the companion, I can no longer give you shelter. If the winter comes early, asked the child, can you at least help keep me from freezing? No, said the companion, I have nothing left to keep you warm. The child sat, realizing the toll her mistakes had taken. I don't understand what went wrong, the child sobbed. All the stories tell of strong companions. Why aren't you strong like them? Her companion laying nearby replied softly, those stories were just about strong companions. But those stories weren't just about strong companions. They were about strong people who cared for them. Those companions were strong only because their people were stronger. The child returned and they sat together. The companion nuzzled her arms gently. The child wrapped her arms around her companion. I'm sorry, the child said. You gave me so much and I gave nothing in return. You reminded me again and again that you needed my help to grow strong. You did everything a good companion could and much more than you should. Tears welled up in the child's eyes as she held her companion close. I failed us both. The child wept. You have only failed if you quit, the companion whispered softly. We can choose to begin again. We can still grow. We can still be strong for each other. It's never too late for that. All we have ever needed is care and a bit more time. And together they sang, hand in hand we walk once more, with lessons learned and faith restored. The road ahead may rise and fall, but I'll be by your side through it all. The end. Now we've added a little bit. This is a really old manuscript, and I'm kind of mad at myself because I didn't grab the newest one, which we've added some stuff to that, but that's the companion. Who in there can tell me what you think that book is about? All right. So sorry I read you a book here while we're doing it, but it's short. It's like 40 pages or something like that. All right, let's see. Yep, Sam Welty did all the artwork. Yeah, so if you guys want to see more of it, you can just go to that website, the moneymultiplier.com / the companion. But did anyone here, like, you can borrow from me? What do we teach when we teach you how to be the bank? Teach you to borrow from your bank. What is your bank? specially designed and engineered whole life. What do you think the companion was based off of? What is the one thing that will always protect you? The one thing that will always stand by your side? The one thing that will give you everything that it has to keep you safe and protect you? Your policy. That specially designed whole life. And some of you are thinking, well, my parents and this and that. But yeah, so you can kind of see that cash value whole life, right? Caring for your companion. Always repay. It takes more time to grow strong. But once you're strong, you can go on adventures. Compounding interest. See what I'm saying? Recapture and recycle. But you see, the book, that children's book, is not written so people are like, oh, I'm going to go buy a whole life, or oh, that's about a whole life. I hope no one ever figures that piece out. The book is about lessons in life that we don't learn, we just experience. Mistakes that we make that we don't realize we made the mistake until it's almost too late, or it is too late. So, and tonight I was kind of hoping Vivi would have come down. I'll have to find the one, but I'll do another one where I'll show you the graphics. The graphics make the book. The story is really told through the pictures, and the pictures are just surreal. I mean, they're just beautiful. They're all watercolors, and that was the idea. They're all pencil drawn, outlined in ink, and then watercolor painted. Think of like where the wild things are. I think that's what it is, right? Where the wild things are. That story was okay, but what made that book so popular? The pictures, the art. Sorry, finishing up my raspberries here. So this whole book was built around that. Now listen, that's just a children's book, but I'm really passionate about teaching parents, and teaching all of us how to pass down what we learn about money, pass it down to our younger generations, our kids, or our grandkids, and teaching them what we've learned so that they can live a better life, so they can be in control of their money, so they don't have to be a slave to the system, because that's really what it is. And so much of what we do, and so much of the teachings, I guess somebody said the other day, I love your teachings. And I'm like, my teachings? My teachings are an extension of Nelson Nash's teachings. My teachings are an extension of Ray Dalio's teachings. My teachings are an extension of Warren Buffett's teachings. But at the end of the day, I always kind of said, oh, they're not my teachings, but really they are, because I've learned through my own journeys, my own stories, but also all of their journeys and their stories and their knowledge. And I've taken their wisdom through their teachings, their books, their podcasts, their YouTube videos and everything else. And I've kind of crafted them and then turned them around. And, I sometimes, say to my wife, I say, God gave me a gift to be able to take what's complicated and make it simple. And that's really what I've been doing. And now it's a real challenge to take money and all these concepts and make them simple enough so that a 5-year-old can understand them. But that's what I'm working on. And this book will be one of many, and Shel Silverstein wrote many books. So this will be the first of many in a series of children's books teaching kids, lessons, life lessons, but all rooted in the fundamentals of money and how money really works, and just how it's a means of exchange. It's not the dollars in your pocket. It's not the coins in your pocket. It's not the amount of money you have in your 401k. It's what that money does for you. It's that money going and working and how it changes people's lives. Those are the important things. So, as I kind of get, down to the end here, because I don't want to just keep boring you about children's stories. And, as you do a live every single night, you try to find new things to talk about. So when I go through my day, different journeys, different things that happen during the day, different things that I think of like that. That's how I craft what I'm going to talk about every single night. And sometimes I just sit down here and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to start talking. And, some will like it, some won't, some will leave, some will stay. But I think at the end of the day, one thing that I think is really important for all of you is, what's happening tomorrow. So tomorrow's Wednesday. So tomorrow I get on a plane at 5:00, but I made sure I pushed my flight back to 5:00 so that I could spend some time with y'all this tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m., but not just 1 p.m., also 9:30. So 9:30, we're doing What the F Happened. So the only way you get on What the F Happened is because you're here. It's because you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and you smash that little bell, or you're part of Facebook, or you're part of Instagram. Okay. One of my community platforms, if you will, my tribe. So that's how you get to know about it. So we'll be doing WTF, me and Steven, and we got a heck of a good show. But I think you all knew that, because if you've been watching the news or hearing what's going on out there, dude, there's just no lack of amazing material to talk about there. But then tomorrow is even more special, because tomorrow kicks off March Money Madness. Now, I know you all thought I was going to say March Madness, right? With the basketball and all that stuff. No. We're doing March Money Madness. We are doing 4 weeks of just amazing teachings all about money. We've got it all planned out. Sean has been doing a great job, and the whole team has been doing a great job of putting together 4 weeks of content. And here's the best part about it. There's no cost. You just register. And how you register, I'll put it down here. So we're going to call this March Money Madness. And you do have to register for this, but there is no cost. You go to chrisnaugle.com. And most of you know how to do this because you register for Wealth Webinar. And you just put in MMM. Can't get any easier than that. Chris Naugle, just like it says right there at the bottom on the screen, Chris Naugle, but then do a /MMM for March Money Madness. And tomorrow is the fundamentals. So when you think about the fundamentals, right? Think about the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, right? Is there anyone that didn't think it was Michael Jordan? He was the greatest player of all time. And if you read there's a book from his coach, and trying to think the name, I read it a long time ago, but the name's eluding me, but someone on here will know the name of his main coach that wrote a book about this. Every time Jordan stepped foot on the court to practice, what did he do? Now, he's the greatest basketball player of all time. He focused on fundamentals, basic footwork, basic dribbling, basic shooting. He didn't like grab the ball and be like, I'm Michael Jordan, and run up and do his flying dunk. No, he went back to the basics, the fundamentals. So tomorrow for March Money Madness, we're going to start at the fundamentals of being your own bank. We're going to start at why it's important to learn this, why everybody should understand banking, and why everybody should understand why it's so vital for our financial health and our financial wellness to learn how to take back control of your money. And you do that by becoming your own bank and taking back the banking functions in your life. It is so simple. I did a training today for this woman, Amy, who's got an awesome community. And I thank her for having me on. It was a real honor being on there. I think she had like 40 some people on. She teaches private money, does a very good job with that. And we're working with her for Private Money Club. But I was on there and I asked her audience, I do these talks, done them hundreds of times. Literally, it's like when you talk about like, how do you master something? 10,000 hours, right? I've easily probably hit 10,000 hours because I've just done it so much. Like I don't even need to think about presenting the infinite banking concept and how it works at all. But what I said to our audience, because sometimes I need to challenge myself. I said, listen, would any of you mind if I go outside the lines? Would any of you mind if I do something completely different? I've got all these fancy PowerPoints, all these fancy slides, but what if I don't use any of them? Is that okay? And they all said yes. So I tried something brand new. And I did that. I went back to the basics. I said, here's how and they were a real estate group, a high profile real estate group and lenders. And I said, here's how you do things. And I showed them, here's what you do now. And then I said, what if you just changed one thing? What if you just changed one thing and added one step? What would that do? And then I asked them, could all of you change one thing? Could all of you add one step? And they all said, of course, it's easy. I can change one thing. Who can't? Right. You can, unless your mindset gets in the way. And then I said, change one thing where your money goes first, and then add one step. But it's the same step you're doing now. You're just going to change the way you do that step and change the way your money flows. And if you do that, all the money is going to always flow back to you, and you're going to make money twice on every dollar. That's how I started it off. You're going to make money twice on every dollar. Think about that. If your dollar could work twice for you, how much wealthier would you be in time? The answer is a lot. If your money could compound and never be uninterrupted, but yet you got to use that money and go out and make money a second time, how much wealthier would you be than you are now? These are the fundamentals. And this is what I'm going to go over tomorrow, but we're going to go deep into it. So it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. You go to chrisnaugle.com/MMM and you can join us. Again, no cost. And when you join us, what we're going to do is we're just going to go 4 weeks. Now, here's the caveat, because some of you are like, wait, you're just doing these for free? I am. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, hey, can I get the recordings of this? And you know what the answer is going to be? Not unless you're a member of MSTV. All of the recordings from March Money Madness will only be accessible inside of MSTV. And we've got an unbelievable package we put together. MSTV, just so you, if any of you need to know what that is, it's kind of like a TV station where it's all money, all day, every day. We're doing live webinars, live coaching. We've got pre-recorded stuff on there that is not found on YouTube or in the public. All of that is on MSTV. I've been doing MSTV since 2020. Can you believe that? We started it during the pandemic. We haven't really talked about it, but now we're relaunching it in a big freaking way. So March Money Madness, you can show up for free. You can be at the trainings for free. But if you want the recordings, they will only be available inside of MSTV, and it's going to set you back some bucks. How much? $197 a year. Yep. It's a ball buster. It really is. It's a bank buster. I should say that. But, if any of you are interested in MSTV and checking it out, just go to moneyschool.tv. See how simple we made that? Bob did that. Moneyschool.tv. Check it out. And you'll read about what it is and how it works and but this is where everything's going right now. Money School TV. You can do it monthly too. Some of you are like, well, I don't want to spend $197. I get it. Like, times are tough. But $19 a month. So you can just test it out, test drive it, right? Take it for a spin. $19 a month. That's it. So you get all of that in that. Yeah. And test was part of it in 2020 when we first rolled it out. So with that being said, folks, that's all I wanted to cover today, because I'll be back tomorrow. Yep. So tomorrow we'll do WTF 9:30 a.m. We'll do March Money Madness. The first one will be at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll do Ask Me Anything Happy Hour. I will not be on Ask Me Anything Happy Hour, but Shauna will and the whole team will. I'll be on a plane flying to Orlando for the think tank, which is the IBC practitioners group. We all get together and we kind of, who knows, my first one, I can't really tell you what it's about, but it's called Think Tank. So we're going down there. It'll be a ton of fun. But tomorrow night, after whatever registration they do, guess what? I'll be doing this again. So tomorrow night, I'll be going live from Orlando. So you'll see a different background, which will be a hotel room, or maybe it's nice outside in Orlando. So I'll actually do it outside. But nonetheless, that's where I'll be doing it. And I will see some of you there. But thanks for joining me. Thanks for letting me read the new children's book, The Companion. Sorry, I brought an old manuscript. The new one is slightly better. Some of the stories are a little bit more, just pronounced, but I appreciate that. And let's see, did anyone got anything they said? Let's see. One Planet Nava said, even if you lose or don't pay back the money you borrow with your loan, the net cash value will always be there. Not the perfect scenario, but the fact, right? So One Planet Nova, if you were here when I was reading The Companion, you'll notice The Companion was still there at the end, although very weak, although not able to protect the girl, but the companion was still there. And that represents exactly what you just said. You see, the girl kept borrowing from her companion, never paid her companion back. The companion didn't die, but the companion was very weak and less than ideal. See the correlations, tiebacks. But anyway, yep. Let's see. So lunch date plus the tip. Oh boy. Oh man. Let me zip over here to Instagram, see if anyone said anything. Instagram's been super quiet today. A lot of people on here, but no one's saying much of anything. So with that being said, anyway, I'm going to call it quits, and I will see all of you tomorrow for Wealth Webinar or WTF or tomorrow night. Thanks. See you then. Can't wait to see you in Dallas, Texas. See, I didn't even mention that today. I'll see a bunch of you out in Dallas, Texas, May 8th and 9th for the Money Tank event, but I'll hit that tomorrow. See ya.